1 year into owning this 1998 Nissan Elgrand. This is the E50, the first generation. I have the 3.3 liter V6 gas model. I've shown you guys this before in like an overview video when I first got this thing. It is still in great shape. I've owned it for a little over a year now, about 10,500 miles, just under 17,000 kilometers, and it has been running real well. We've been using this everywhere whenever we took it to go on road trips and whatnot. That's how we put that many miles on this. We've gone on many trips with the family, with the friends, a bunch of kids, no kids, etc. You can see the van is still in very good shape, other than it being littered with random kids' knick-knack toys and candy. It has held up pretty good. I am going to show you all the good and bad things about this now that I've owned it for long enough to kind of have an idea versus when I first got it. Let's start with what I've done to it so far, starting under the hood. We did the spark plug wires, distributor cap, rotors. We recharged the AC a little. We did all the spark plugs. The spark plugs were kind of a pain, especially the one in that one's okay, actually. I don't know. I remember it being a pain, and it was difficult right here. The spark plugs are up here, and there's that one way back there. See that little nub? So that was a pain, but we got it done. It is what it is. We also did the timing belt, the water pump, the tensioners and stuff. Everything turned out okay. You can see here we did that at 45,910 kilometers. I'm currently at 58,000, I think. Did this in January. I think that's all we did under the front. You guys pretty much know me for buying weird, quirky little K cars and stuff. This was actually probably my first full-sized car. Well, not counting the carrier truck. So this is my first full-size car, and I've kept it for a year. Parts availability for this thing is actually really good for the drivetrain. Now, if you're from the era of the late 90s, early 2000s, you may be familiar with this engine sight. This is what you would find in a North American R50 Nissan Pathfinder. This is the same V6. All the parts that you can get for this are actually on Rock Auto for super cheap. I can't show you anything down here, I guess, but the suspension and all that stuff is also R50 Pathfinder. And coming over here, all this stuff, R50 Pathfinder. I'm not sure about the transmission exactly, but you know, there's some variances here and there, I'm sure. I don't know if the Pathfinder had the same rear suspension, but at least the major parts in the front are Pathfinder. I started my journey down these JDM cars with a AutoZam AZ1, so I am no stranger to parts availability being absolutely horrendous and where everything is discontinued and not available. So I had to make stuff, or you would just find stuff here and there and just buy it whenever you could, just to keep as a spare. I love this big car just because we don't need to do that. Everything is available for the most part. I mean, glass, body panels, things are like that, like are probably specific, but you know, as long as you don't break it, you don't really need that. But just to keep them running, I think you can do this, and it's pretty easy. I've also replaced the headlights with LEDs. This is Auxito H4, and I think that's an H3 at the bottom for the fog light. I forget exactly what it was. First thing we actually did were brand new tires. The original tires were hard as rocks, and they're super old. I got these Toyo Extensas, I think, the all seasons. They've been serving us pretty well. They're soft, pliable, and pretty quiet. I recently got this undercoated with this nice black stuff. The spare tire is not here. I haven't put it back yet, but you can see this will protect this from any winters to come in this New England weather that I live in. This black stuff is all over this. Perfect. I've also replaced the wipers front and back. We did the engine oil, fluid changes, everything. Differential, transmission, transfer case, rear differential. Everything is fully serviced and everything is nice. And there's the new rear wiper. Check this out. The prior owner of this in Japan, a 30-year member of the Japan Automobile Federation. It's kind of like AAA. In the interior, we didn't do as much stuff. That is the rear view camera, and that's also a dash cam front and back. That is hardwired in. I wired it and routed it down to the fuse box over there. So it is tapped into one of the curtains, I think. This one is just a tablet. We use this for navigational purposes and entertainment stuff. It is mounted on top of the original dash, the navigation unit. It doesn't work here, obviously. That's why I had chosen to do that. We shampooed and cleaned all the shag carpet that is in here. So it's nice and soft and clean and not questionable from whoever was doing stuff back here before. The seats, everything, nothing has really been modified in here. I mean, we added this for my kid for his seat, so when he drops crumbs or whatnot, that's fine. My kid has barfed in here before, and it was disgusting, and it was unfortunate. We did have to clean everything, and it was fine. I don't think there are any other mods. Oh, I had to clean the filter, the suction filter intake for the rear HVAC system because it was completely clogged with dust. So that was all cleaned up. Everything's fixed. Here, I can show you this camera. It is just run through the headliner, just all the way across like that. But yes, there are no more mods in here. We have been using this van just the way it was intended. This van does have the rotating captain's chairs in the middle row. This one's obviously facing forward, this one's facing back. We've used this a few times on a couple road trips, just kind of like this, especially when there were kids back here, like me and our children. This is pretty cool. It is very versatile. I don't know. It's more of a novelty, I guess. We're probably not using it as intended. I'm not exactly sure, but you can see seatbelt, your 3-point seatbelt no longer works because you're backwards. So they had that covered by giving you a lap belt, if it'll come out. There we go. See? Now you're secure and safe. See, you can see there's 2 buckles. This is for the 3-point seat belt. It's also rare, but we have folded these seats out of the way when it was just me and my family, so there's only 3 of us. We didn't need this, so we could use all of this as extra cargo space. These seats do slide forward and back for adjustability. I've shown you this before, so you can check out the overview photo, video. I keep saying photo, but that's pretty good back here. You can see how plush these seats are. Still very, very foamy and stuff. Even there's still a armrest here if you want, because there's only 2 people, but you know, there's a center belt for a middle person. And honestly, I think I like this middle seat because my tailbone can go in the crack here. I don't know, weird TMI stuff. But everything has been okay back here. This is pretty much, it's pretty good. Everything's very comfortable. The speakers are blown in the front, I mean, in the back, I mean. So, I don't know, one day we'll probably pull that out and do it. It kind of sucks because that entire panel is 1. That is also the time to put in any insulation because it's absolutely hollow out there. You can see why this is super comfortable. Plenty of legroom, second row. Plenty of legroom, third row. And still a decent amount of storage back here. If we actually stacked up our bags and whatnot, it'd be fine. And even if it packed up all the way to the top, which we have done before. And sometimes when the curtains are closed, that is definitely when this comes into play because you can't see out the rear view mirror anymore. And that's where that digital one comes in handy. I've also changed everything in the dash to be LEDs because the odometer light decided to die on me on our trip home from the port. And I was bummed out about it, but luckily it was relatively an easy fix. I also have a video on this if you want to check it out. It's in the description below. I kind of regret doing LEDs on some of these spots because I determined that they are simply too bright. You can't really see it in the camera, but those turn signals are obnoxiously bright. And there is a way to dim them. So, oh right, the dimmer thing is right here. I always run it on the dim setting because at night it's too intense. I mean, it does look nice, but it's too intense. And you can see here, I goofed. I put that one in a reverse polarity and I didn't notice and I put it all back together. I don't really want to take that. I don't really want to take this out again. It was not pleasant. And when you put bright LEDs in here that are too bright, those red lights over here, they actually start to look a little pink. See when the camera boots up about a Wolf box. You got to be careful buying one of these because Wolf box offers a lot of them. You got to buy the long one. I think this is the 12-inch one, because when I got the 10, it didn't fit around this mirror. The camera was hitting the mirror, and this was like awkwardly all the way to the left, and you could see some of the glass. But there you can see the rear. You can slide it up and down as you need. Close the center curtain. See how you can't look out the back? But now you can. It's great. We love a lot of the features that are available in this. There is, right now, this is a rear-wheel drive van. That just puts it in four-wheel drive. It's automatic, so I think it just electronically puts power to the front wheels as you need. And then if you were to do center lock, you could do that, and you can see that it locks everything. So now it is locked in 4x4 mode, just like a SUV truck, like off-roader. I've seen some cool builds. Some people lift these vans and then they put like big chunky tires on them and go off-roading in them. Why? Why not, right? Like, that's not, I'm not into that, but yeah, there's people out there that could do that. So you can kind of go overlanding in these things. You could probably put a roof rack on top and add more stuff, like your tents and whatnot, so you could bring everything. Do you really need a tent in here though? Because this thing is actually a sleeper on its own. Every one of these seats can fold flat. I mean, I can't right now because that seat is in the way. You take the headrests off and they kind of just fold into a bed. I've also shown this before. It's actually pretty cool. So you could actually sleep 4 people in here if you're not like 6 foot something. So like if you're in the 5 foot or less range, 5 foot something and less, you can sleep 4 people in here with all the seats folded flat. We don't use the roofs that often, but it is nice to have this. This is a manual pop-up roof, gets some airflow once in a while. The rear window does slide and tilt, and my son loves that because he can look out the window. That's tilt. And everything does work. Something really cool is actually there's a remote that controls the window, the heat, the radio, that kind of stuff too. This is handy. There's also a button here to lock the window. You can see that that's locked now. So people in the back can't mess with the sunroof if you don't want them to, the moonroof. That's pretty cool, right? There's a TV here. Obviously it's old, doesn't work anymore. The screen, the LCDs has seen better days. It's just, looks like it's just cracked from my age. Cool unexpected features here. Power folding mirrors. We like using those when we park in narrow places. I mean, the van is pretty narrow to begin with, but better safe than sorry. My favorite feature in here, functional feature, is probably this, if it's not the curtains themselves. Oh, that one's tied up. Curtains, really nice. Makes for a really good napping environment. If you have a kid or something, you can also like close them up at night if you want to just sleep. Coming back to here, my van does have adjustable shocks and stuff. This is in automatic mode, so it's kind of like the Comfort. When you press it down, it goes into sport mode. Does it matter? Yes, you can actually feel the difference. When you go down like off ramps, on ramps on this, you can actually go a little bit faster and you feel that the van is a little bit more flat, so you feel less like you're gonna go flip over and die. I have not bothered to change this stuff out just because I've been using the auxiliary on this right here. It just goes in there and then I can play something through my phone. But the problem with that is the speakers are horrible. There's speakers here, I think there's 4 in the front, and then there's 2 in the back, something like that. The 2 in the back are blown. These are just, they're terrible, but they're from 1998. What do you want? In the passenger seat here, this actually looks kind of cramped, but it is pretty much the same as this. If anything, the driver's more cramped because you have a whole steering wheel here. But over there, it's actually not that bad because your feet actually tuck up behind there. So therefore, I don't think this is all the way back, but therefore there's actually a decent amount of space in every row. In the center here, if this is a pass-through, we've only used the pass-through probably once. I mean, it is convenient to, if we have to kind of go from here to go back for some reason, especially for kids. But we found a tub that kind of fit perfectly in the middle here, and it just collected all the junk, so not everything was floating around. These cup holders are really useful because there's no cup holders otherwise. The only problem is they're really small. So these are those 16.9 fluid ounce Aquafina bottles. That's all that holds. This really only holds like a can from like a Japanese vending machine. So if you had anything big, that's when it kind of just gets tucked into here. I believe I got everything that we really like about the van. This is a 1998 and it's pretty feature packed for what it is. I guess it is a luxury van for what it is. For back in the day. Back in 1998, I was a little kid, so I had no idea what the reference was, and my family, we just had like a Subaru Legacy or something, so I don't know. This is pretty well equipped for what I think, especially back 27 years ago. There's lots of headroom just because of the nature of the van. This van is narrow. Think like a Sprinter van or a Ford Transit or something. They're narrower and they're taller. Recently, I was in a Chrysler Pacifica, Toyota Sienna, like a newer model one, and what else? And my friend's Honda Odyssey, just to kind of try it out. I noticed that there is a lot of width in those, like you got a lot of elbow room and stuff. But the problem was, like, the roof was always like encroaching on my head, and I'm only 5'10". I'm not that tall. I think it's more of a rear seat problem. Like, look, there's plenty of space here. I'm gonna go further back into the third row. See? Plenty of room. I can just be perfectly upright. And with the adjustability of these seats, I can go back. I mean, a third row adjustable seat, that's crazy. So I think this is the most vertical I can get. And then I can go back so many different ways and just relax and take a nap back here. Look at this, living in luxury with unlimited legroom. This is totally why the Alfards would be pretty cool. I want an Alphard. I want a newer Alphard. But they're not legal. Now that we've gone over all the good stuff, let's go over the bad stuff. The bad stuff, I don't know, let's start with over here. When you have to adjust these, when you have to change the bulbs, this is a huge pain in the ass to take out. You have to pull this forward, but you have no way to grip it, and you cannot pull it this way because you're gonna break the tab that holds this in, and then you are screwed. All right, you have to take out all these, like you take the grill out, everything. There's so many clips and stuff to break everywhere. Little dumb stuff that you probably never have to do unless you have to change a bulb. What else do we have here? The next problem is this, seat belts. They get old and they don't want to retract. Like when you get out of the car, you know, it does this. I mean, all old cars do this. But the problem here is, oh no, I scratched this. Probably from one of these incidents when this was stuck here and then you don't realize and you close the door. This belt has caught into here somehow, and then this gets all bent. See how that got pulled out? And that's bent. This side isn't so bad. You can see all the hits from the seat belt when it closes. The driver's side obviously has a similar problem, and you can see there's a little bit more wear on this seat, but that tuck thing never happened here, so this isn't pulled and bent. Being with the driver's seat being more used, this happens more often. Don't know if those are seatbelt strikes, but this, see how this is cracked and broken? The seatbelt got caught here, got closed out a bunch of times, and see, now it's broken. I do wish I had the automatic sliding door, but I don't have that option. I did buy the motor and I bought the switch. I'm not sure if it's an easy swap. Let's go over and show you that. Oh, did you see that? Watch the side panel. Single hollow sheet all the way across. Huge issue is the side sliding door. I wish I had the automatic one, as I was saying, and I don't. It doesn't latch on very well. Like usually there's a catch, and obviously it can't be too tight because then people can't close it, but you know, if there's a slight downhill incline, that will bounce and then this will come slamming forward again, and you're going to notice that the door didn't close properly. I shouldn't put my finger in there just in case it randomly decides to work. The soft close no longer works. Like I actually have to close it manually. I thought it was that these contacts are corroded or whatever, and I had to like fix them and whatnot. I seem to have narrowed it down. It doesn't want to work when it's cold. Once the weather started getting below like 50, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, this didn't want to work anymore. So now it's even more of a pain because I carry our elderly parents and stuff, and they have problems trying to pull this to slam it closed. That's why I wish I had the automatic door. And now that it doesn't even do the soft close, it's even more difficult. On the topic of the doors, I live in America. We drive on the right. So if we parallel park, we're usually on the right. Occasionally on one ways or whatever, you could park on the left. But you can see here, the big fault. There's no side door on the driver's side, which would be the right side. So everybody has to get in and out on the left, on the side of traffic after you parallel park. It's not that good. It's an inconvenience. The newer one, the E51, does have a door on the other side, but it is weird that like a full-size van like this doesn't have doors on both sides. You would think, oh, it's because they were cheaping out or whatever. I mean, maybe, who knows? But the K-vans, like Honda Street, Honda Activan, whatever, every van, whatever, they all have two doors on both sides. It's just something to think about. In the back, things we also that are interesting. This isn't tall enough. You risk walking into this if you are standing on like a curb, kind of like over there, right? If you backed into that spot, you're standing on that mulch stuff, you're gonna hit your face on this. Over here, what do we not like? I think there's no problems back here. I wish we could adjust the seats more easily. Like, I know how it works now, so I can reach through this hole and do it. But I wish you could adjust more easily because there would be like a tab here or something. I understand in the E50 when you can do that, so they did fix that in a later model. Interestingly enough, the soft close does work in the back. Yeah, something must be wrong with mine. Oh, before I go, so for this height thing, apparently there's a mod here. You can put like a 10mm spacer. You can 3D print something or just cut something out of like some scrap, just bolt it onto here, and that will raise this with some math that it goes up a lot. So it makes it real good, and you can still close this as needed. As for driving this thing, I wish it handled a little bit better, but once again, 1990s minivan, you know, you're not going to expect much of it. This is what it is. It's not too bad. I had to fit heavy duty springs to the back. I was able to get those from an Elgrand shop in the UK, interestingly enough, because these are very popular in the UK. I didn't do the fronts. I may buy the fronts and do it too. The issue here is the payload of this van is 850 pounds roughly. So I forget how many kilos that is, but it was something like that. And that's not really acceptable for something of this size. And interestingly enough, these are 6 lug wheels. So usually that's like a heavy duty thing, but apparently not. So let's talk about the weight in terms of what I know as Americans. I believe the average American male is like 180 or 200 pounds or something. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're not even going to talk about the middle seat. We're not going to talk about any of the cargo. Let's do some quick math there. I counted 6 adult males. Let's just say they're 200 pounds because I'm 200 pounds with my clothes, maybe a little bit more. So 6 times 200 is 1,200 pounds. I'm already about 400 pounds over the maximum payload of this van. What's going on? So we discovered this on one road trip where we had 3 children in the back and 4 adults. So 2 female, 2 male, and all our kids. And all of our luggage and stuff, of course. I mean, we didn't travel that heavy that time. But we were bottoming out everywhere in New Jersey and New York, like where the seams are, where they do the things on 95. This was like boom, 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 like out in the back. It was rough. And yeah, but we didn't know that. So that's what prompted me to get those heavy duty springs, and the problem went away. I'm considering doing the front ones too, but I think the ride got a little stiffer and it's not as compliant, but at least we're not bouncing off the bump stops. I do wish that the HVAC system in the back was a little bit more strong. You can hear it working, but I think that's just because there's so many vents, like it can't really keep up. There's 4 in the front here, and then there's 4 more on the rear ceiling, and then there's 4 vents on the bottom. I think there's one really big one on the side, 2, I don't know, something like that. I wish it could work a little bit better because sometimes it's really cold or it's really hot back here. In the summertime, this is a black van. At least the interior is not black. We can close the curtains and stuff. The tint, whatever, but it's okay. It's adequate. That's why we were looking into charging the AC system, and doing that on the fly during a road trip with the kids in here, yeah, it's a little rough. Over time, these clips are damaged by UV rays or just plastic because they just get old and brittle. They will break. You can see one of them has broken there. So you got to be gentle with them, especially if you have kids. I trained my kid to not pull on this anymore, but he did break that one clip. Overall, the rest of the interior quality is holding up pretty well. I mean, this thing hardly has any miles, but not too bad. I saw there's like a, right here, there's a chip in the leather or paint. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. That's the only thing I have noticed in here. Nothing is really broken. I don't recall anything being particularly broken in here. There are annoying rattles and stuff in the dash that have started. This panel. Like everywhere you go, like any over little imperfections in the road. You can see here that this is starting to peel. This soft mat on the, like the soft leather, faux leather stuff that wraps on the dash. I wonder if I can get some glue in there and kind of just like set this back in. Got the same situation going on over here. Overall, quality is still okay. It's kind of annoying that those things are peeling. I got some peeling spots on the leather right there too on the steering wheel, but we're doing okay, I think. Continuing on the rattles, this is probably a more common one. The door rattles. Oh, it's not closed all the way. I don't know, I'm trying to find it. Something in the door gets loose. So when you hit a pothole or something, it jars the door and it's like this really annoying rattle. It first started with the window. The glass would rattle. Let me see if I can still rattle any of the glass. No, this is a solid one. This one doesn't move. There's no noise. You can hear a little bit of a tapping, but it's not too bad. That one's kind of annoying. But I got rid of a lot of the majority of the like clanging noise when the glass was actually tapping the body of the panel. You can see how this works here. There's a gasket that's in here. I don't know if this is crushed over time and whatnot, because obviously that doesn't seal as well. There's also another seal right here on the glass. But what happened is there's these rubber nubs that were on here. I replaced them with thicker ones. Just right here like this, soft, thicker rubbers. And they keep the glass off of the thing. What happened was I think the lower one was more worn or the upper one, and the glass would just touch and it would be like tap, 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 tap. Super annoying stuff. Close the glass and you can see now here the glass is fully supported and separated from the body. Sorry, I'm shooting into the sun here. It's a little difficult. And it looks like the seal is evenly closed. I assume that's the same for the other ones. But just little annoyances like that. And I don't know what is rattling because my door isn't loose. Like this stuff isn't all worn out because these are the things that like line up the door and fit properly. Same with the one down here. This thing goes into there and it seems to be okay. That noise, that like heavy noise is what it sounds like when the door is closed and when it rattles. Just makes it feel a little chintzy. Recently, back in July on a road trip, we had an accident with this van. I got clipped on the side here.
All right, so I went straight here in this lane, and I wasn't supposed to because it was a turn lane, but I wasn't sure where I was going, since I've never been here in this spot in New York. I went first when the light turned green and was well ahead of them, and I was obviously going straight. This person's behind me, they speed up, and they're over the double yellow, and then they swipe me coming back to the proper side. Here it is. After insurance looked it over, they marked out any particular places that had some damage. I'm not exactly sure where this came from. That might have just been a separate incident from something else, but mainly I'm going to focus on this.
Can you see the damage? What damage, right? Not too bad. I think this stuff was already existing because there's been little scuffs and stuff when I bought the thing, so I don't think this was part of that accident. There's a little scuff right here that I couldn't buff out. Everything that was here is mostly buffed out. You could still kind of see the scratch if you really look for it. Oh, right here, there's a small dent you can feel where that scratch starts. You can see my chrome trim got a little rippled, I think. And it is no longer as tight as it used to be, but I think that's just because the clips are bent. They are metal. You can bend them back. I'm so glad that the door was not hit. The door didn't get messed up. I believe I was told the wheel took most of the brunt of the damage. I forget where that ended up. I think that wheel ended up in the front because the tires have been rotated. Yeah, right there. You can see the cap got dinked up with some rub marks on it. I got clipped in New York. They deemed that it was partially my fault. They paid out 60% of the claim because I was 40% at fault. Kind of a dumb way to do it, but at least I got some money for this, I guess. Free money, right? And lastly, the key. This car is new enough to have power locks, like with the remote unlock and stuff, but it doesn't work. The system works. The key works. There's nothing wrong with it, but something is wrong with the key that I've taken it out. I've looked at the board. There's no shorts. There's nothing burned. There's nothing that I could tell is not working, but every time I replace the battery dies within a week. Like, I'll replace the battery, everything works, I'm super happy, and then like 4 days later, battery is dead. Any ideas why that happens? I've given up. I just have to go turn the key like a peasant now. Now that I've had this and driven it for quite some time too, I had a good idea of what the fuel economy is like. People on the Elgrand forum in England, I mean, everyone that mentions, even in the Facebook groups, that these are gas hogs. They are not good. I get around 13 to 15 miles per gallon in this thing. I think on a longer trip, we were able to manage to eke out like 18 miles per gallon, which is, we tried. We had to try to be fuel efficient to do that. And once again, it's an old 1990s V6, right? Like, it's old. They were not known for efficiency back then. I'm not really complaining. Like, I'm used to driving V8s and stuff. Like, it is what it is. But it's just interesting seeing how far technology has come, because I had a 2001 Cadillac Escalade. It's a 6.2 liter V8. That thing weighs 6,000 something pounds, and we've been fully loaded in the thing, and we can easily do 18 miles per gallon on the highway. 22 if you kind of slow down and not go as fast, just stay at like 65. I've gotten 22 in that thing. That's crazy. And this thing, I'm struggling because there's not enough power. There's just no, I don't know. I think this thing is rated for 181 horsepower. And when you're loaded in this thing and you have to go uphill, it is brutal. We have to try to merge onto the highway. It is brutal. I mean, coming from a world of K cars and stuff, you know, the slower ones, you know, is that brutal? Yes, I guess, but you're also smaller and it feels a little bit faster. It probably is faster, I don't know. Like, this thing, you just ring it out and it just screams, but there's no power. You struggle to pass a random Corolla. Enough complaining about this thing. It is still a very enjoyable van to use. If you can find one of these Elgrands, they are pretty cheap if you buy them at auction. I mean, obviously, you're probably not going to find another one like this anytime soon. I got really lucky on this. I think I'm about, like, of all the things I've done, everything I've done to it, and registration and stuff, I think I'm like probably $7,500 into this van. Under 8 probably, and we've used it a good amount. It's cheap enough to just buy, just as like a little people mover, and it has some modern functionalities like safety things. You get decent seat belts. I know you can send these out to get them rebuilt. I'm considering doing that. You get airbags. You get these sun visor things. You get cool stuff like these curtains that you never get in any car here. It's freaking awesome. I was baited when I saw one of these at the port. Someone else bought a black one just like this one, and I was like, this is nice, because we were waiting for lunchtime to be over and we were just peeking at all the random things at the port. It was nice. We liked it so much that I bought one. So I hope this is pretty helpful. I think I'm ranting on all kinds of stuff now, ranting on about the van being good or bad or whatever. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about how this van has held up for our use. I mean, do you think it's useful? Minivans are pretty nice and comfortable, I guess. I mean, can they be better? Probably. I'm sure the newer ones are better. We don't get to experience them until like 25 years old, so they're already old. Like, I don't know. One consideration you would probably have to think about is also the adjustable suspension. If the shocks are blown, you're kind of screwed because you're not going to be able to buy new ones, and what you'll end up doing is buying the regular shocks, and then your automatic and sport mode thing no longer works. You'll disconnect them. I swear the little rattle in the front there is either my end links again, because I've replaced those already, but I think it's the adjustable thing. There's like a little what do you call it? There's a little motor, electric motor, that sits on top of the struts, and it twists the top of the dampener thing. That's how it does the soft and hard mode, stiff mode. And I think that's rattling because it's loose. And so every bump I hit, they're like, black, 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 black. And it's a little annoying. Just a little annoying. There's a lot of little annoying things, but you know, it just takes some effort to kind of patch them up, and then you should be okay. Would I buy another one? I put about 17,000 kilometers on this. I think I would buy another one. This is a pretty good van. I'd say they're good enough to buy, especially at their price point. They're pretty cheap. I mean, you could, obviously, if you import them yourself, it's a lot cheaper because you're not going to pay anybody's commission fees or whatever, that kind of stuff. Like, you're buying them for like 6,000 and change, maybe 7 or so after all the fees and tariffs and stuff, because tariffs are higher now. It's no longer 2.5%. It is 17.5%. So, I mean, it's a few $100s more. It's not a big deal. I have seen these vans for sale in the US, and just like K-Trucks and stuff, the pattern I've seen is the condition of the K-Trucks that I find in Japan that I could buy myself versus the ones I could find on Facebook Marketplace here. The markup seems to be about 80 to 100%. So a truck that people are asking about $8,000 for, and that's in like average condition, you can easily get that into the US for like $4,000, maybe $5,000 or so. Do you ask about $13,000, $14,000 or so? And knowing that I could get this one like landed here in the US for like $5,400 or something before any of the fees, so like let's get into like 6,000 and change. Yeah, that's about 80 to 100% difference of markup.
To be fair, though, the ones that are already imported and titled that you can buy here, you can check them out. Someone took the risk of buying it and finding out that it could have been a bad vehicle or not, and whether or not it's a good vehicle in some way or form that you couldn't have known when buying it from the other side of the world yourself. I have bought some vehicles before that didn't show its issues until you drove it for some time or at a certain faster speed, so there was no possible way that you could have found out before buying it.
Is it worth it at that for the price? For me? No, not for me, but I mean, in value of having the features you could get and the uniqueness of this type of van versus what you could get here, like the old, like people's old beat up Odysseys and Siennas, there's value in this. I mean, if you like a nice people hauler, right here, there's no US van that you can get that has these features, especially at this thing's price point. If you're watching this, you have some interest in this type of a van. There's really no reason to be on YouTube watching old 90s JDM minivans unless you're really into this type of stuff. So if you're looking into getting one of these, I hope this was helpful for you. And if you've been watching my stuff, you know I'm trying to shrink my fleet. This Elgrand van has been serving us pretty well just because of the large amount of seats that it has, up to 7. In the bench configuration, it can seat up to 8. And then it's like, once again, it gets into that weird stuff where it's like, oh, the payload's really low, but you know, you can fix those things. But before I go off on another tangent, you know I'm trying to shrink my fleet. We're kind of teetering on whether or not we need to keep this van. It's probably not immediately right now, but you could make me an offer. And if it's something, I'm going to be one of those people. I want that markup just because of how nice this van is. And it's fully serviced and everything. So I'm going to want that markup. But if you can make me an offer in that range, like the 13,000, 14,000 something range, and you're willing to pay that for a well-maintained, well-taken care of van, I may consider it. I am in the Northeast. I am in Massachusetts, just a little bit south of Boston. So that gives you some idea of where this is. You could totally pick this up. You could fly in and just drive this home like a road trip all the way across the country. It is ready for that. Once again, leave a comment below on what you think. Check this thing out. Isn't this a pretty cool van? And isn't it holding up pretty well for being 27 years old? Help me out with YouTube here. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already, because I have plenty more content like this with all my JDM vehicles and whatever vehicles I encounter, whether it be mine or my friends. I'll see you guys next time. I missed this thing I didn't like about this van because this curtain, if you don't button it, they all have a button in the front. If you don't button it up, it droops onto the passenger. And even if you do, it's still drooping on the passenger. This is a little bit of an annoyance if you're using this curtain. And you can also whip the passenger in the face with it because there's no like speed. They just go whoosh, open. And open. I love this camera, but because of the way I mounted it, it's not really a great backup cam because I can't see where I am. I love this little mirror back there. That is your old school backup cam. Look, you can see the bottom of my garage door. You can see that random box I have or whatever that is down there. You see exactly where the edge of the bumper is, so you're not gonna crash into anything. And that makes parking this thing a breeze. Hey, I got some trash I gotta throw away. Look. Isn't that awesome? Old school tech.